This is John Bailey, the epic voice of Honest Trailers, and you're listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. It's a Fangirls podcast with five-ish people. The tangents and squee will continue. Squee.
The tangents and squee continue all the way to episode 178 of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. There's an idea, a symbol that must continue no matter what. Shield. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. So glad you could join us. Let's start off like we do every week. We'll go on the virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Brittany in Bethlehem.
This is Sally from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello everyone.
Hello!
We're here, yay! Chrissy may be joining us later, depending on how long we take. Which, unlike last week's episode, we might have more, I think we're going to have more things to say about this week's topic.
Yeah, not because we have one more episode to talk about.
Well, that's true, too. And then we have more, happy things to talk about.
Yes.
We were kind of Debbie
So
Downers
excited
last
over
week, but
that
thing,
Yes.
among other things.
Yes.
So,
The
we'll get
thing along
to
with, the other thing, yeah.
we'll get to
Yeah,
that
we'll
get to
thing
that.
that happened with the thing and the people at the place. So we'll get to that. First news. Starting with some convention news. So first up, Indiana Comic-Con, which is in less than 2 weeks, which doesn't matter to them. They're still going to add people to the guest list. So first, a schedule change. Matthew Lewis will now only be attending on Friday. But for all you Harry Potter fans, do not, and you're going to be there all 3 days, or you're only going to be there Saturday, whatever. Do not dismay, because you're still going to have a Harry Potter guest, or in this case, guests, to meet and greet, because they are a set.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever seen like just one of them at something. It's always the two, which makes complete sense. I mean, because even in character, they're match set. So, but
Yes.
James and Oliver Phelps, aka Fred and George Weasley,
Yes.
will be attending Saturday and Sunday. So plenty of Gryffindor love to go around. First off, if you happen to be in Gryffindor. So there you go. I will only be there Friday, and I will only be there long enough to do my shift to help at the North America booth, so I'm not really going to have a chance to meet anybody, but that's okay. So, this con, the way they do things, is kind of a hot mess anyway. So, yeah, I'm not too upset. Oh.
I mentioned in the comments, but it amused me that they're going to be there on Fred and George's birthday.
Yep, April Fool's Day.
Little things like that amuse me.
That'll probably be mentioned a lot, probably, by them, by fans.
Yeah.
Something.
Bring a cake.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Who knows? There may
I won't be
birthday
there on
presents for
Sunday, so I don't know. So. But so there's that. And then at Salt Lake Comic-Con, they have announced, and this is kind of appropriate to last week's topic, as Chrissy pointed out when she shared it on Facebook, is Jennifer Morrison.
Yes.
Okay, Emma Swan will be making an appearance in Salt Lake later this year. So, that's exciting.
Yes.
It is.
So, and then convention housekeeping, I guess. So, Indiana Toy and Comic Expo, which I've attended the last few years, is the one-day con that's down in Bloomington. Indiana. This year they are doing, along with all the vendors and Artist Alley and cosplay guests, whatever. They are also now doing a podcast alley. One, because, podcasting is awesome. And two, Billy, who is the head of ITC, has a podcast. It's the Indiana Toy and Comic Expo podcast. Imagine that. So he wanted to add, so he has asked me, along with some other fellow local podcasters, if they would like to have tables. So, and then they made the announcement on Facebook the other day, and I shared it on our Facebook page. So now it's official that we will be having a table at Indiana Toy and Comic Expo this year. So, and then I've also been in touch with Aaron from the Indie Disney Meet, and once again, I'm going to have a table at it as well. And just like last year, they are on the same weekend. So, once again, I'm going to be spending Saturday in Noblesville and Sunday in Bloomington. And if you look at a map of the state of Indiana, those places are far away from each other, and I'm just glad I live in the middle. So, that's still going to be a lot of driving that weekend. But it's okay. It's okay. It's all good.
It's worth it.
It's totally worth it.
I imagine.
It is. So, if you have plans at attending either one of those events, I will be there. So, come by and say hi. And I have to come up with some sort of giveaway for the Indie Disney Meet. So, if anyone has any suggestions, let me know. Obviously, something Disney related. So, if anyone has any suggestions, let me know. That is it for convention announcements. On to other fandom news. Even though the Librarians has been canceled, as we mentioned last week, that has not stopped it from still being recognized for the awesome TV show that it was / is. I'd still like to think it is in present tense because, those episodes, they still exist out there somewhere. So it's not like Doctor Who where it's been disappeared.
We still haven't heard anything yet from Dean Devlin one way or the other.
Yes, about finding a new home for it. So
yes.
So it's like Schrodinger's cat.
Yes. Yes.
At this point. Like, it might be dead, it might not. We don't know yet. So, but anyway, the Saturn Awards, the Librarians has received 4 nominations, actually. So Christian Kane has been nominated for Best Supporting Actor on a Television Series for his role as Jake Stone. I guess 3 nominations. The show, The Librarians as a whole, has been nominated for Best Fantasy Television Series, and then Best Guest Starring Performance on Television for Rachel Nichols. So, and then those awards will be announced by the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films in June.
Cool. Because the same thing happened to Leverage after they got canceled. They wound up winning the People's Choice Award for Best TV Show. In whatever category it was. It's like, yep.
Yep.
So, fingers crossed.
Yep.
Actually, an award show I'm excited for because the whole genre is I love the genre, so like at least something I know is going to win something.
Yeah. Yeah. Unlike other awards,
right?
You get into these slightly more obscure awards out there, and then that's where the stuff that we like gets nominated for stuff. So it's like, take your Emmys and your Oscars and whatever. It's like, we'll take the Kids' Choice Awards.
We'll take the People's Choice.
The People's Choice
Awards
and the Saturn Awards and whatever. Occasionally the Razzies, but not that often, but occasionally. So, there is...
But anyway, congratulations to Kristen Kane and the Librarians.
Yes. for the nomination. Cross your fingers that you win.
Yes.
Although I haven't looked at the other nominees, but yeah. I'm going to assume that, that would be what I would pick if I had a say in the matter. So, alrighty. And our last bit of fandom news, unless you've been living under a rock. Last Friday, dropped a little trailer for this little movie that's coming out next month called Avengers Infinity War. So, unlike the trailer and other teasers where it's been pretty much the same clips every time, this one it's pretty much all, except for a couple of footage we've not seen before. So it definitely paints a slightly more picture of the plot, but still doesn't really give a whole lot away, which is good. Because at this point, and I think I mentioned this last week, that, at this point, trailers, teasers, TV spots can start getting spoilery. Because they really want to get people to come in and see it as soon as it opens. That's not going to be a problem, but we'll talk about that in a second. But at this point, even though it's a lot of footage that we've not seen yet, even for a little 2-minute trailer, it's nothing super. Like, we all know what the general plot is going to be. It's Thanos is coming for the Infinity Stones. Our heroes are going to have to try and stop him, blah, 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 blah. But beyond that, it's like, we don't know, what's going to happen to these characters. I know what the Russos and other people have said. I'm kind of doing the finger in my ears, like I'm not listening when they start hinting at character deaths, like la 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 la, like I'm not listening. I don't want to know. Even the idea of someone dying, no thank you. So unless it's Thanos, if it's a bad guy, yes. Good guys, no.
I doubt Thanos would die in this one.
No, because that kind of defeats the purpose of the other film.
Yeah.
So, one can hope, though. It's like, we'll figure out something. We'll figure out.
Had a lot more humor to it than the other ones.
Yeah, we'll figure out something at the other movie. But anyway, so yes, new trailer. It's awesome. Oh my goodness. So I do love that we've gotten these amazing trailers, and every time one drops, people are like, "Oh my god, I need to change my pants because I just crapped myself," which obviously. I do love, though, that since 3 days ish, 3 days and some change since the trailer dropped, that they're seeing, like, everyone keeps sharing the trailer and commenting on how awesome it is, because obviously, but I love that at the same time there's suddenly been this, like, trend of people kind of almost a campaign of where is Hawkeye?
Yeah, like
because we've not seen Jeremy Renner anywhere in anything. But is anyone saying the same thing about? Is anyone saying the same thing about Ant-Man? No. Why is everyone so concerned about Hawkeye but not Ant-Man?
I can make the joke that, like, maybe Ant-Man just been so tiny. He's there, he says.
Yeah,
tiny.
That's what everybody's been saying. He's like, he's there, he's just so small you can't see.
You can't see him.
I mean, that's why you can't see Hawkeye. Maybe he's up in a tree somewhere.
Maybe he has like a big part that I don't want to spoil.
It may be.
That could be.
It could be. So.
Or maybe Hawkeye wanted.
Yeah,
I mean, some of Ant-Man's technology and oopsies.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, that's the thing. It's like even if you look at especially this trailer, I mean, we don't, even with the number of heroes that are in this movie, And then this will probably be the case actually for this movie, and we'll probably more likely see like a big group of them together, like a la Power Rangers, like, you know, where they had one episode where like a ranger from every team ever all came in the same episode. I haven't got to that episode yet, so I don't know if we're necessarily going to see like the big like 20 plus member, you know, superhero group together in this movie. It may be holding off for the second movie before we get that uber big mashup. I mean, we still have a decent number of groups. I mean, you see the carrier or whatever land in Wakanda, and you see Cap shaking hands with Black Panther, and it's Cap, Natasha, Vision, Wanda, Falcon, Rhodey, and I think there may be someone else. I can't think of who it is off the top of my head. So, so yeah, we got Thor with the Guardians of the Galaxy. So we're gonna have some interesting mashups. I've watched this trailer, I don't know how many times since Friday, and still I bust out laughing at the scene with Peter Quill and Tony Stark, where he's like,
I know!
he's like, it's like, let's talk about your plan. It's great, except it sucks.
Yes!
Like, how about I come up with a plan, and that way we know it's good. Tony Stark is like, what? Like, just this short little clip, I'm like, oh, these two together is gonna be the best thing ever.
Yeah.
And I bet that, who knows, there might be a dance-off thrown in or a challenge to figure out whose plan's going to get put to effect.
Yeah. And I love how Drax is just, like, looking like, what? Drax is just like, eh, and then Spider-Man's like, what the? I think I saw on maybe Twitter or something, and someone commented on that, and it's like, Spider-Man has this look on his face like he suddenly decided he's gonna sit next to Star-Lord on the car ride home.
Safer that way.
I had a little chuckle at the end when Spider-Man was with Doctor Strange.
Yeah, he's like, I'm Peter, by the way, Doctor Strange. Oh, we're using our made-up names. Well, in that case, I'm Spider.
I was actually technically spoiled on that before I saw the trailer. like someone posted, I'm like, hey, was that a fan-made thing? And then I watched the trailer, I'm like, oh.
Nope. That is legit. It almost seems like a fan-made thing until you realize, no, it's actually in the movie. Or at least it's in the trailer. Hopefully it's in the movie. But yeah. But with that trailer came the announcement the tickets are now on sale. So start planning your release weekend. So I got our tickets. By the time I finally bought the tickets, most of the theater was already sold out, so we're sitting closer to the front than I would prefer, but oh well. What are you going to do? First world problems. But if you want to see this opening weekend, I would not dawdle if I were you. This movie surpassed the pre-sale numbers that Black Panther had in 6 hours.
And Black Panther previously broke records.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and they are predicting that the Infinity War potentially could crack $1 billion sooner than Black Panther did. Black Panther did it within 3 weeks. They think Infinity War may do it faster, which with a worldwide release all on the same day, that is definitely possible when you look at worldwide box office numbers. So, Yeah, because I'm already like, well, we're going to see it at this theater, but it's like, I'm really going to want to see it in IMAX too, probably. Probably going to want to see it in 3D, so there's at least 3 viewings.
I know, right?
Right there. So, but yeah, Infinity War tickets are on sale now. Go get
I've
them.
read that Infinity War is gonna be like the longest so far.
Yes, I think I saw runtime is 150 something minutes, so that's 2 hours. It's essentially 2.5 hours.
Yep.
So, yeah. So also plan your food and liquid consumption accordingly, because you're not going to want to have to get up.
And no news yet about what kind of cutscenes or how many we're going to have.
Yeah, as far as
during
post-credit
credits.
scenes and everything. Yeah, it was quite serendipitous though that this trailer dropped Friday morning, and it's very Thanos heavy, obviously. But the night before, I'd watched Age of Ultron, and the credit scene is Thanos going to put on the Infinity Gauntlet, saying, "Fine, I'll do it myself." Like, oh, there he is. He's doing it himself. Like, hey, that's appropriate. That was the particular credit scene that I watched the night before. Serendipity. Still got several movies to go before I finish rewatching, but. Alright, well, that is it for news. A little bit of housekeeping. Just to do a little bit of, I guess, getting to know our listeners, I guess. If you go on our website, on the right-hand side, you should see a link for a survey. So we're going to leave that up there for a couple months. But it's just, it gives us an opportunity to learn more about you, our listeners, no matter how long you've been listening or how frequently you listen. It takes just a couple of minutes to fill it out, and it's completely anonymous. But if you guys would be so inclined to answer that at some point, that would greatly help us, because that's just that little behind the scenes here as far as the world of podcasting is. When it comes to analytics, they're really hard to get. Most podcasting platforms, unless you want to pay for, or you know how to dig and find that information, you don't get a lot in the way of info. Even just general info, like where people are downloading from. And not even super specific, like what country. We don't need to know what state, but what country people are downloading from. You know, what time of day people are listening, or that's, that sort of thing. Really, the number that most podcasters can get easily enough is just how many times an episode has been downloaded. And that's really about it. Our website does give us some, just because that's built into the Google, because it's Google, and Google likes to track everything. But the actual show itself, we don't get a lot in the way of analytics, other than this episode's been downloaded this number of times. So, but if you guys will answer that survey, And again, it's completely anonymous. That just gives us a bit more information, and that allows us to know more about you and possibly generate content that is more appropriate for the people that are listening. So, I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, the show is, it is what we want to do, but we do care about, who our listeners are, and if we know more about you, then maybe we can make the show a bit more catered to you, possibly, maybe. So, anyway, but there's that. Should be pretty straightforward. Just go answer the questions and be on your merry way. But that link should be valid for a couple of months. So something we would just like to do, especially going into our anniversary later this summer. So that just helps us out. And anything that helps us helps you. Alrighty. So with that, let's move on to this week's topic, which we're more excited about than last week.
Yep.
Just a bit. Granted, they're still trying to, yank our heart out of our chest and step on it in some cases, but
To be fair, we expect nothing less with this.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's a Whedon who's in charge, so it's kind of what's gonna happen. So, but yes, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 5, the second half, or I guess if you want to call it, they weren't on hiatus nearly as long as Once Upon a Time was, but still, everyone went on an Olympics hiatus. So, post-Olympics hiatus, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is back. We're 3 episodes into this part of the season, including the big 100th episode, which is really what we all want to talk about. So, it's like, there's other stuff that's happened. They've brought some characters back. Some things have happened, but really that big 100th episode is really what we want to talk about. Which, I mean, do we want to go straight to the 100th episode, or do we want to...
We can do that. We can do the wibbly wobbly timey wimey. I mean, the show's done it.
That's true. And this show has definitely been some wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, or as what Coulson called it, our what did he say? When it was in the 100th episode too, when they were when Fitz was explaining the rift with the explosion and how it was opening up rips in space time and everything. If Coulson said something about our trip to and from Tomorrowland, my level of disbelief has been greatly has been thrown out of whack. It's like, at this point I can believe just about anything. So no, but I mean, it was nothing. The 100th episode was like nothing what I was expected, but it was almost everything that I wanted and didn't know I wanted. So, but the monoliths that because they're back in the present, which they're still being very fast and loose about what year they're in. But they're in the present, pre-Earth being destroyed time period, essentially, close to and post the Talbot getting shot by the Daisy LMD. So they're most wanted by everyone. Our team is, but they're back at the lighthouse, And there's 3 monoliths at the lighthouse, which after everything they've experienced with monoliths, they were all like, no. No, thank you. Want nothing to do with these. But there's an explosion that causes all 3 monoliths to essentially kind of activate at the same time, which causes these rifts in time and space, which look an awful lot like the crack in Amy Pond's room.
Yes, that's
Very Doctor Who. I looked at that and I'm like, are they looking for what was it in the 11th hour? Prisoner Zero?
yes.
Is there going to be a giant eyeball looking through this crack looking for Prisoner Zero? Where's Matt Swift when you need him? But the cracks in like reality or whatever are allowing it's tapping into everyone's greatest fear. And for some reason, Deke is in the past, by the way. He didn't get blown up when they activated the monolith in the future. It ended up sucking him into. But apparently Deke's biggest fear is green grass and trees and fresh air and blue skies. They end up with like this gorgeous like park inside the lighthouse. I mean, the guy who lived in the future where there was no fresh air or gravity or running water or anything, I guess. So I don't know if it's necessarily fear. It's more just maybe curiosity, or maybe that's a fear that's manifested now that he's on Earth and realizes what Earth used to be, knowing what is coming. It's his fear of it disappearing, maybe? Fear of it getting destroyed?
Getting pretty deep with this.
It could
I like
be.
it.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, you gotta get a little Dr. Phil, armchair psychologist, but I mean, I guess in a way that kind of makes sense, is he's not necessarily afraid of the outside. He's just, now that he's experienced it, that and all the joys of trees and Zima, and he knows that it potentially is going to get destroyed at some point in the future, that he doesn't necessarily want to go back to. He knows what potentially could come, and he's not happy about it. So anyway, that really doesn't play into the bad part of it. So, but it's a convenient plot point for what happens closer to the end of the episode. But everyone finds out that Coulson's dying, which I guess would have been very cliche, I think. For him to try, of course, Coulson being Coulson, and pretty much everyone in this crew trying to, it's like, I'm okay. And then they realize that he's actually dying. And we find out why he's dying. He's dying because technically it's him re-dying from being stabbed by Loki way back in the day at the Battle of New York. Apparently Project Tahiti, it's a magical place, and all the whatever, I think Phil called it, alien mumbo jumbo, that Nick Fury used to save Coulson's life in the first place has held for all this point. But when the deal he made with the Ghost Rider back in the last season, the short time that Coulson took on the powers of the Ghost Rider to trick Ada, the deal was that if he took on the Ghost Rider's powers, it would negate Project Tahiti, essentially. So essentially Phil is dying from his original injury from being stabbed by Loki. all that tissue that was being held together. It's almost like the Band-Aid has been ripped off, and there's no way to close the wound, as it were. So eventually, all that tissue and everything that had died but had been temporarily stopped is now dying, and it's spreading. So we'll see what happens there. I really hate the idea of them killing off Phil.
Me too.
I really, really, really do. I mean, Clark Gregg has been playing this character for literally a decade. He's been there since the first Iron Man. Phil Coulson has. And obviously the part has become way more involved since Agents. It wasn't just him in a suit telling Iron Man he's going to tase him and watch him while he drools on the carpet while he watches Super Nanny. But at the same time, it's like Coulson's kind of he's that bridge from TV to the rest of the MCU. But at the same time, it's like, if they wanted to continue, then it might be better with younger folks. But it's like, it's Phil. Phil is S.H.I.E.L.D. Even without, even when Nick Fury was technically the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's like, it's always been Phil when you think of S.H.I.E.L.D., and it's like, I can't imagine Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. continuing on without Phil Coulson. But at the same time, future Yo-Yo told present Yo-Yo that them trying to save Phil is part of the reason why they fail saving the Earth, which I have no idea how that's even connected. They're trying to do something with gravitonium, and I'm pretty sure there's some comic book like science/physics involved in there that I'm not following because I'm not Fitz or Simmons. So it'll be interesting to see how exactly they make all this work, whether, we're going to get through to the end of the season and it's all going to be this single, loop in the time loop, or we're going to get so far, see them fail, and then we're going to repeat and see, them try something different and fail, try again, fail, try again, fail. How many times are we going to go through the time loop before they save the Earth? Because they have to. So, because there's other stuff happening that the Earth kind of needs to be around for in the MCU. So, we have other movies that kind of need the Earth to exist. So, so I don't know. I'm like, it's selfish of me, I'm sure, but it's like, I love Phil Coulson so much as a character, and I love Clark Gregg, and he's one of my absolute favorite characters in the entire MCU ever, and I don't want to see it go forward without him, so, it kind of makes me a little sad to think about, so, we'll see, but anyway, he's still alive for now, which is good. But I love the fact that, that Fitz came up with this temporary fix to try and close this rift with some gravitonium, which now Deke is belt buckleless, but oh well. Till he goes back to the future, it doesn't matter. He doesn't need artificial gravity, so he's good. But I love that, we get glimpses of, a Kree attacking, or we see Lash or Hive, and those characters, they didn't really come back. They just took the CGI and planted them in there, so it's not like Brent or someone else came back to do those bits. They just took the files they already had from those characters and plop those in there. But I really find it interesting that those are their greatest fears. Obviously, Lash is May's, and Hives is probably Daisy's greatest fear, but Coulson's greatest fear is everything that he has done since being brought back after being stabbed by Loki is not real, and that he actually has not made a difference. So he ends up seeing this manifestation of Mike Peterson, and it's just Mike Peterson. It's not Deathlock. It's just Mike Peterson, and this vision is telling him that everything that you think has happened has not really happened. You're still on the operating table right after getting stabbed, and they're trying to save you, and you're in the in-between of death and possibly being saved, and everything that you've seen is just in your head. I find that really interesting that is Coulson's greatest fear, is that he has not made a difference. It's kind of sad too when you think about it. But I think it says a lot about Coulson, and that's one of the reasons why I love him so much. Is he's a Shield guy, obviously, through and through, but that he feels like his life has not made an impact on other people. He's not saved the world. He's not brought together this team who have created this whole family. If it wasn't real, then Daisy would still be somewhere living in her van being a hacker, and not having the family that she has now, and that sort of thing. So thankfully the vision, well, I guess the hallucination or whatever does get to him, and then he gets saved by the actual Mike Peterson, aka Deathlock. Which I love at the comment where afterwards Phil's like, "It's very convenient he showed up at that time." Yeah, that's comic books for you. Isn't that convenient how that person showed up? Or isn't it convenient that they found that piece of technology right there at that very moment? Yeah. Very on the nose right there. Little meta. But the rift has been band-aided a little bit, although with the preview for this coming episode, we find out, and even the episode after that we see that there's still manifestations appearing. But at the time, Phil saves the day with the help of Deathlock and some other folks, and then we get the best thing ever!
Yes!
Because Coulson sends Deke out to run some errands to pick up some things, and we just assume it's stuff that has to do with trying to close the rift.
Yeah.
And Deke does come back with the Quinjet with Deathlock and a whole bunch of other Shield people and people that want to help Shield, former agents and that sort of thing. And we're like, oh yeah, that's what he was doing. But then they get on the elevator with, it's Coulson and Deke and Fitz, and they're talking, and
Yes.
Phil makes that comment. He's like, oh, it's so convenient that Mike Peterson showed up when he did.
Yeah.
And they're...
I love the line. You're stalling, aren't you? The elevator stopped a few
Yeah.
seconds ago.
Yeah. And they're talking, and Fitz is putting on this suit coat. And I'm like, what's he doing? What's he putting on the coat for? And then I think it was at the point where where Coulson was like, you're stalling, and I was like, are they doing what I think I'm doing? Are they doing what I think they're doing? And then they walked out into to the field thing because it was still manifested, and I was like, good shit, Fitzsimmons. So happy.
Yes.
Oh, so excited. So
The ship has safely sailed.
the ship
Yes.
has left the harbor and is sailing full speed ahead. I don't know how legal this marriage is.
Right.
Considering they're on the run, it's not like they can actually file for the marriage certificates and have it, be on, filed somewhere. Because I'm pretty sure that the bad guys would notice. What's her face? The general is probably looking for things like that. Uh, but I guess as far as they're concerned, it's legal. So, because they were talking about hyphenating their name the episode after that. And Fitz is all like, Simmons
probably
Fitz.
Buried and encrypted somewhere nice and safe.
That's true. That's true. They could have Daisy file it somewhere and just be like, somehow have it coded so that once they're cleared of everything, it could be publicly filed, I guess. Because stuff like that tends to be, public to a point. So, but yeah, Fitz and Simmons got married. Yeah.
And that's something we've been wanting for
how
long now? Since like
for
the
5
very
seasons.
beginning?
Yeah.
Probably the very first episode when they're arguing over the night-night gun.
Pretty much. I mean, considering from the very beginning, people just thought that they were a single person.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's Fitzsimmons. They are a team. They are a single entity, and they're so cute. And get married, and Deke had to find a dress and rings, and Gemma's all like, this thing's pinned 500 ways to Sunday because it doesn't fit, and he's talking to Mike Peterson. He's like, oh, you groom side or bride side? Mike's like, actually, I know them both, and Deke's like, I don't really know either of them. And Deke said something about, or I think Mike said something about the rings, and Deke says something about, yeah, it was hard to find something that would fit his scrawny little fingers, talking about the size of his hand.
And then he mentions, like, the ring he found for Gemma kind of looks like the one that his grandmother or mom used to have. And
yeah, his mom wore that he got from his grandmother. I'm like, oh, there we go. And then they pretty much confirmed it after that with the general, because Deke had gotten arrested in the premiere after getting drunk on Zima. Welcome to the past, where there's onion rings and alcohol. And they thought maybe it was an LMD, so because he has no prints or anything in the system, and the gal was all like, well, I scanned him to see if maybe he was a genetic match to anyone, and she's like, they were like, yeah, he matches too, and then it shows Fitz and Simmons. I'm like, oh, yeah, there we go.
Yep,
so,
there you go.
Like,
well, I love Coulson's, we ready for this?
It was so funny.
You like married even if you wanted to or not. There's going to be no opposition on this one.
Well, yeah, pretty much. I'm like, I'm sitting on the couch, like, squeeing away, and Chauncey is not caught up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at all. So he knows what I've told him, but he hasn't watched since season 3. So he's got a ways to go. He really needs to get caught up. But even him, he just happened to be walking through the living room as Coulson said, is everyone ready for this? And even Chauncey raised his hand and said, "I." Like, you haven't even watched in 2 seasons, and you're even like, yes, these two need to get married right now. Make this happen.
Well, I was holding with bated breath. I'm like, please don't let anything go wrong. Please don't let anything go wrong.
Like,
lock the doors.
Don't ruin this.
Yeah. Nope. Unlike some other superhero weddings, this one went off without a hitch. Yay!
Yes. There were no interruptions of the evil queen persuasion.
Yes.
Do
Yes. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. So, which is good for now. So, at least we got that out of the way, because crap is still happening, whether, unfortunately the honeymoon phase is probably not going to last as long as they would like, just because crap is still happening outside of the lighthouse. So, even inside the lighthouse, because of the...
And we know there'll be a baby Fitzsimmons in the future.
Yes! At least one.
Yes.
Female.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So, which I love when Deke put 2 and 2 together, because he gets this this manifestation of a Cree attacking him, and then he sees a manifestation of his mother. And at first they're having like this nice conversation, and we finally see his mom. And even in my head, I'm like, yeah, you kind of look like you could be a combination of Fitz and Simmons. I can see the physical resemblance. And they're having this nice conversation. She's like, "Oh, are you getting enough to eat?" And he had just opened a case of Twinkies and discovered the world of Twinkies.
Put the knife down, you'll hurt yourself.
Yeah. But and she says, this quote or whatever that her mother used to say to her, and then she tries to attack him. It's like manifestation goes down the toilet. But thankfully he gets saved from that. So, because best we can figure is the manifestations, they could actually do harm to you. So, because they are physical manifestations. I mean, once you kill them, they kind of disappear in this puff of smoke. But when they're still solid, they actually could hurt you, because they do things like knock over shelves and throw punches and that sort of thing. So you could get hurt from one of these manifestations. So they do need to be destroyed. When he goes to let Yo-Yo and Gemma know that the team's back from getting that gravitonium, and he hears Gemma say the exact same quote to Yo-Yo, and you see the light come on in Deke's head, and then they go and meet everyone else, and I guess they get like the gravitonium to Fitz. And Fitz was very grumpy in this episode. He's like, "You just got married the episode before, dude. Why are you so grumpy?" But he's grumpy. But Fitz gets upset about something or snaps at Deke or whatever, and Deke's under his breath. He's like, "Whatever you say, Grandpa."
I know.
Well, then Fitz later on grudgingly just wanting to play a game of fetch, and was like,
earlier Deke was trying to convince him to play a catch with a baseball and a mitt, because he thought it would help him take his mind off something and kind of get a clear head on the issue at hand. It's like, Fitz, you really need to work on your parenting skills here. So.
Here's a little practice.
Yeah. It's like, don't go yelling at your grandson like that. Your grandson that you don't know yet is your grandson, who's not a child and is a full-grown adult, but still, he's your grandson. So it'll be interesting to see what...
And if your wife puts 2 and 2 together, the two of you are going to be having a conversation that you aren't going to be too happy with.
Yeah. Little bit. Oh. Well, and you've got to figure, because they went how far into the future? 80 years? 87 years, almost 90
Somewhere
years,
in that
something
neck
like
of
that.
the
So
woods.
somewhere in 80 to 90 years. So if we figure Deke is what? Mid-20s?
Early 30s.
Early
I was
30s?
thinking he's about the same age as Daisy.
Well,
I'm not really
Daisy's in her
horrible.
late 20s at this point, so.
I'm not so horrible at guessing ages, but that's just what I thought.
So he may be late 20s, maybe 30. So that puts him. So let's see, split that. I thought they said 87 years in the future, but I don't know if they ever said that in the show. That may have just been something I read somewhere. So split the difference and say 85 years, between 80 and 90 years. So if we split the difference and say 85 years in the future. So, and if we say Deke is 30, then, his mom would have had to have had him 55 years into the future. And I'm guessing, well, and then we finally see her and see how old she was, and we could assume that's about how old she was when she died, because that's what Deke would have remembered she looked like last time he saw her.
Mm-hmm.
And she looked like she was, what? How old? She didn't look that old. So she couldn't have died
maybe mid-40s, early 50s?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking, that age group, too.
So...
I mean, who knows? She could be older. We don't know what kind of medical technology...
going into the future.
Yeah. We also don't know how old she was when she had Deke.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying to figure is, if he remembers her looking like that, then she would have had to have him younger than that for him to be old enough to remember her looking like that.
Did he ever say how old he was when she died? I don't remember.
No. So I was just trying to figure out a potential timeline here, because it's like, if Gemma was to get pregnant soon.
Heck, who knows? Maybe already is, but doesn't know yet.
Yeah, well, that's always a possibility. Although considering their circumstances, that's kind of irresponsible when you think about it. But whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's TV. Stuff's gonna happen. But still, I mean, that means, well, yeah, I guess. I mean, because that would have put 20, if we figure if Deke's mom was mid-50s, maybe 60, when she died, she would have had Deke when she was in her 20s and 30 at the oldest. So, but then that means, they would have had their baby, so if they had a baby now or in the next year, you're looking at 25 to 30 years. So,
I love how we're trying to figure this out when we have no,
yeah, it's like we really have no frame of reference. It's kind of making my head hurt, actually.
We know they had a kid, a daughter, and we know she had a son, but we don't know
when exactly. And at what point, what point does the Earth get destroyed? It's like, what happens to Fitz and Simmons? Because we saw in the quote unquote flashbacks with Robin that Robin keeps predicting that Gemma's gonna die, and we see Fitz get all frustrated at that. But it's like, does Gemma die in the process of them trying to save the Earth? Does Gemma die giving birth to the baby? It's like, we don't know. There's so many things, and the wibbly wobbly timey wimey just makes it even more complicated. So. Now that we've spent 5 minutes trying to figure out, possible conception and birth of the Fitzsimmons family tree. Anyway, we'll have to wait and see, really. And then but either way, that ship is smooth sailing. Yomak, not so much. There's still hope for Yomak, but also in the future, something's supposed to happen to Mac, too. And it almost looked like it was going to happen in this last episode where he stayed behind till the very last second on the great floating, carrier in the sky, which that was really cool.
That was.
That was very smart of Deke to figure that out, too, because they think a ship had sunk to the bottom of the ocean. They couldn't find it, and Deke's all like, no, if it got struck by lightning and it's full of die, and then boom, cargo ship floating in the sky. It's been there for years.
Yeah. And then we also find out that Mac has a rather embarrassing nickname.
Can't touch this. Do, 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 do.
Coulson. like really, Coulson? Really? You had to do that?
Coulson is never going to miss making a pop culture reference.
This is true.
And I wouldn't be too surprised if Mac's Christmas gift from Coulson is going to be a pair of metallic
hammer bands.
Yep.
I would totally be it would, as long as Matt goes back to that his what was that, college? Is that what that was supposed to be?
Academy.
That haircut. I love how some people were like equating that to like The Rock.
Yeah.
With the viral picture, yearbook photo of him with the black turtleneck and the big old gold chain. Kind of the same idea. But yeah, that was pretty fun, actually. No. But yeah, it is interesting that came around because this guy that they've figured out has kind of been like, I don't want to say witness protection because they're all Hydra people, so it's like they're, they got Hydra equivalent of witness protection. I don't know. That this guy has helped all these formerly, I guess, Hydra scientists relocate, even though they're supposed to be quote unquote dead. Not.
Dead is not dead in this case.
They're not dead at all. So, what was it? Candyman? Is that what they called him? Is that what they called him? Yeah. Helping them. So, but they get at least some gravitonium, which is good. So we don't know where the rest of it is. So we got some nice references though to some folks whose names have not been dropped in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a while. So the return of well, he's back to calling himself Alex, but Werner von Strucker. So once again, kind of appropriate that I just watched Age of Ultron. but yeah, now he's been looped in with Ruby and the Hale, General Hale, and her team that is not going to be the Thunderbolts, according to everyone, even though this is essentially what they're kind of the anti-Shield, or kind of anti Secret Warriors, I guess. So, bad guy version. So, and in the comics, they're known as the Thunderbolts, but they don't. Most people are speculating that's not the name that they'll go by. But we find out that in the process of Alex / Werner being zapped, that he now has perfect recall, essentially. For he remembers everything in the absolute minutest and clearest detail. And really that's what Hale wants, is because a lot of his father's documents and everything are destroyed, or were taken by Tony Stark. Again, Age of Ultron. Serendipity.
It's all connected.
It's all connected. She needs that information out of him, but then he doesn't want to stay, and then she tells Ruby she needs to convince him to stay, but then Ruby convinces him to stay by telling him that actually she wants to build this team, not necessarily to do what her mother wants to do, but to work against her mother. But we don't know if she's telling the truth. She said she was telling the truth to her mom, but we don't know if she was bold-faced lying to Von Strucker's face or what. So it's a very interesting team that Hale has brought together, because you have Ruby, who is this, I don't know what, like, I mean, she doesn't seem to have like any sort of like superhuman abilities. She's just been very well trained by Hale and the rest of the military. Obviously, she's got her Xena warrior princess things that she used to cut off Yo-Yo's arms, which angry about.
Poor Yo-Yo.
Yeah. So if anyone, someone on the AfterBuzz, one of the AfterBuzz shows in the chat had commented, speedsters in the MCU don't have a very good track record. Which is very true. Look at Quicksilver. And look at Yo-Yo. And if you watch this season of Jessica Jones, there's a speedster in there that doesn't have a very good outcome either. So,
it seems like the speedsters in the DC universe are faring a little bit better, but not by much.
Slightly.
Yeah.
Slightly. Oh. But yeah, I mean, you've got Ruby, who is seemingly human, just very well trained. Very ninja-like. You've got now Von Strucker, who he's very violent. He's prone to fits of violence, but he's not, his ability is not anything you would use to fight or anything. He's just a psychopath, which this is the same guy that brought us Quicksilver, speaking of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. So, and then you've got Creel. They've brought back Creel. So, which was kind of, I was like, wait, what? You see this guy jogging down the street, and then this SUV pulls up, and Hale's on the inside, and he pulls back his hoodie, and I'm like, wait a minute! I haven't seen you in a coon's age.
Mm-hmm. Right?
Like, what are you absorbing now, dude? So, should be interesting. So, But it's kind of, you know, stuff's in motion. But I guess that's the best way to put it. You know, pieces on the chessboard are moving, but we don't know where everything is gonna to fall quite yet. So, because it's like, and we still don't know if Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is coming back yet.
No, we don't.
Yeah, we don't know yet if it's been renewed or if this is going to be the final season.
They haven't made that announcement yet, and it's just hard to say whether, you know, the way things are kind of going with some of the episodes is like, are we tying things up and
yeah? Well, I saw an article somewhere that Jed had said that they're writing it as if it's going to be a series finale, just in case, just because they don't know. I mean, obviously, with this being Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they'll probably still leave some things loose just in case. But, you know, but it's like, we don't know yet if, I guess we could safely assume that they're going to save the world from exploding. And Daisy is more than likely, at least not solely responsible for it. At this point, she still doesn't even have her powers back. So she's not a threat. She's still got the inhibitor from the future still implanted in her. One, because she doesn't want it out, and two, I don't even know if they have the tech to get it out anyway, even if she did want it out at this point. But that gravitonium has to play into it at some point. I mean, the gravitonium itself is dangerous. Obviously, the fact that, you know, if they can get we're assuming it's the same hunk that from season 1, that, because they haven't indicated otherwise. I mean, that's the only gravitonium we've seen on the show is from all the way back in season 1. But there's a lot of people that are in the assumption that you know, once the gravitonium is brought back together, because we saw the last time we saw it, or one of the last times we saw it, that Dr. Hall is encased inside it still. So, you know, if he's still in there, there's a possibility that they could bring out Graviton, which is a character from the comics. So, he has the ability to control gravity. Imagine that. So, so that may factor into Earth getting destroyed, possibly. So, it'll be interesting to see, because they name dropped Ian Quinn, because Quinn had the gravitonium, because what's his face? Garrett had given it to Quinn when they took over the icebox, right? Yeah. Oh my goodness. 5 seasons of TV trying to dig out information, names of stuff, people, places, things. So last we'd known, Ian Quinn had the gravitonium given to him by John Garrett from the icebox. Ian Quinn got name dropped. He's still alive, right? They thought he was dead, but as far as they know, he's off hiding somewhere. Obviously, at some point, he loses the gravitonium because they had part of it, because it was on that ship, and most of it's missing. They got what little was still left. They assume Hale has it, but she hasn't tipped that hand one way or the other. So, possibility we may see Ian Quinn at some point. Maybe. If Hale doesn't have it, maybe Quinn still has it. I don't know. I mean, they keep bringing back people from previous seasons. I mean, we get Mike Peterson after how long? You know, we've got Creel back. We've got Von Strucker back. It's like, it's almost, it's...
Deadlock came back.
Yeah, it's like, are they, you know, it's like, are they bringing back these people because this happens to be a season that falls within the 10-year anniversary of the MCU? Is it because, and is it purely coincidental? Are they finally trying to wrap up things from the very first season? Well, I mean, obviously, I think they're trying to bring things full circle from the first season, because the Gravitonium's from way back in first season. But yeah, it's like we're bringing stuff full circle, but at the same time, it's like the Earth still needs to be saved. We don't know what's going to happen with Coulson. We still have that whole Fitzsimmons baby family tree that we were trying to figure out. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not complaining, but as I've said before, I've, even without the lack of comic book knowledge, I've been able to kind of figure out where they're going with things sometimes, but this time I'm kind of just along for the ride at this point. I'm like, you know, stuff's going to happen that is going to happen, I guess, and we'll see how everyone comes out at the other end, and hopefully the team is still intact and they'll live happily ever after, even if the season's over after this. They don't know. They don't know. But unlike I don't want to say unlike Once Upon a Time, I'm enjoying myself. I mean, I am enjoying myself, but I'm enjoying myself more than Once Upon a Time. So, but I guess I'm still just kind of along for the ride. Like, I don't know how they're going to tie all this up, but I'm assuming they will by the end of the season. Maybe, hopefully, probably. So, that's the Marvel Cinematic Universe for you, I think. Is like you just kind of sit there and go, okay, pass the popcorn. We're gonna see what happens here. Where's the Stan Lee cameo? Which I completely missed a Stan Lee cameo in Jessica Jones season 2, and I need to go back. I know where it is now. I need to go back and look for it. So.
Yeah, the Netflix ones are hard to spot because they're not.
Yeah, because it's not
ones we're used to.
Yeah, it's not a physical cameo. It's just a picture. So, but anyway, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's Marvel. I don't know how else to put it. It's like it's the MCU. They're just kind of. They kind of do what they do, and we still love them for it. For better or for worse. No. No. I don't want to go on that soapbox again about how much I love the show, just because I say this every time we talk about Agents. You know, like, I love this show so much. Please give me more. Please, sir, I want some more. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, well, I could kind of see them potentially ending it on a high note. So it's like 5 seasons is good. I mean,
Yep.
Yes.
especially to be able to reach 100 episodes. That's not anything to sneeze at. So
No.
Nope.
if it has to end, I would rather it end positively, unlike something like Once Upon a Time, where it's like, yeah, you should have ended a season ago.
Yep.
So, alrighty. Anybody have anything else?
Nope. No, not really.
Yeah.
Next week I'm nervous. But
Yeah.
I'm trying to like be nervous every episode, but
Yeah, the return of Fritz, as they've been calling him.
I haven't heard that, but I like it.
Which, I mean, when you think about it, that works on several levels, because it's like Fritz framework fits,
Yes, it does.
but then Fritz also has a German sound to it. Germans, Nazis, Hydra.
Yep.
So
True.
it works on a couple of levels. So
And I'm so clever sometimes.
yeah. So how long before you think we'll see Yo-Yo with her new arms? I like how Coulson was trying to make her. It's like, you can get all sorts of these bells and whistles. She's like, but does it feel the same? He's like, no. No. Yeah. It's, I've never been in a situation like that where, I've lost a limb or something like that, but I like the portrayal that they're giving her, where, being her normal self, when they're tucking her in, trying to get her comfortable, and Simmons is talking about how Fitz is trying to come up with some good prosthetics for her based on the tech they have available, and she says something to Mac about dating a robot, because Mac has made it very well known how he feels about robots, and it's not very positive. And he goes on about what he doesn't like about robots, and she kind of looks at him and she's like, if I had arms right now, I'd strangle you.
Mac, you need to stick away from the sci-fi movies. You've seen way too many of them.
He does save it, though, by saying, it's like, the difference between you and them is you have a heart and soul. So
yeah, I was thinking the same thing she was said. Nice save there.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So, but she's gonna get arms at some point, so, which is good. So, because I'm sure it's expensive for them to do the green screen rotoscoping out her arms anytime that they're visible. So give her some gloves, and you'll never know the difference. Just like Coulson, where he was sporting, a single glove like Michael Jackson there for a while. So we'll see.
Yeah.
And then there's Infinity War, but coming up very quickly. Anyway, all right. Well, if anyone doesn't have anything else to add, then guess we'll wrap up here. If any of our listeners have Any comments or anything on Age of Shield or upcoming Infinity War? Or anything else that we've discussed, you can do so by sending us feedback. Easiest way to do that is visit our website, which is the5ishfangirls.com. From there, you can email us or leave a comment on posts for this particular episode. There's also links to our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, the Goodreads Book Club. So you can go talk Doctor Who books there. Which between the Target novelizations and Candy Jar books, we're not hurting for reading material at all.
No, and then the few books that, the main BBC line has been putting out as well,
Yeah.
options are open. And not to mention the wealth of other reprints. And so yeah.
Plenty of
library.
Plenty of Doctor Who between now and October when the show comes back.
Yes.
Oh. And then there's also links to our Patreon. So if you are wish to support us financially, you can do that via Patreon. You can do as little as $1 a month. Which heads up to our Patreon supporters. Some point this week, you will be getting a post and a little preview to next month's photo challenge.
Woohoo!
So if you aren't marveled out already, next month's kind of a big deal. So there will be a photo challenge to match.
Yeah.
So, but if our Patreon supporters are going to get first glimpse at that, and then the rest of the public will get that before April starts, obviously, but we still got some time. So, but if you want to get a sneak peek at the photo challenge before the end of the month, go support us on Patreon. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
As they like to advertise, be one of the first ones to see it.
Exactly. Exactly. So, and then with convention season coming up, occasionally we will post things like interviews up on Patreon first before they go in the actual show. So it's always a surprise what goes up on Patreon. Sometimes we'll go stretches of time without posting anything, and then sometimes it's feast or famine on Patreon, but still. We do like to thank our Patreon supporters when possible. So, because we're very, very grateful for their monetary support. And if you don't wish to support us on Patreon, that is okay. But if you are a user of Amazon, you can support us that way by clicking on our Amazon affiliate link and making purchases via Amazon from there. We just get a small kickback from Amazon. It doesn't cost you any more. You're not going to pay any more for your products. If you have Amazon Prime, you can use that. You can still get that free 2-day shipping. So, and that helps support us as well. We also have merch. So,
Yes.
which I need to, with con season coming up, I need to order shirts. Need to remember to do that before the con season starts. So we've got shirts and stickers, a sticker at this point, one design. Hopefully down the line we'll have other designs, but right now we have a design. But shirts and hoodies and a sticker with our logo on it, so you can purchase merchandise from there. And then don't forget about the audience survey. Please fill that out when you have an opportunity to do so. I think that's it. Cool. All right. This was much more positive than last week. Last week's review. Indeed. So we say that, but I mean, we wouldn't talk about stuff if we didn't find some enjoyment from it. So we wouldn't watch it. If we were all just miserable, we wouldn't watch it and we wouldn't talk about it. So as much as we complain, it's said with love. I guess. So, anyway. All right. Well, with that, we shall sign off for this week.
This is Brittany in Bethlehem saying goodnight.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel from Indianapolis, Indiana. Come on, Grandpa, let's go play fetch! You have been listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. Any and all movies, books, games, and other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by the respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied.